Maayong aga sa tanan. I am Early Solgadong of the University of the Philippines, Visayas. In my presentation, I hope to highlight connections between language, societal values, and opportunities for expanding the definition of mathematical literacy. To start with, I'd like to share that my academic and professional background is primarily in mathematics and mathematics education. Now, in mathematics, precision and exactness are values that are considered vital in one's advancement in the field. That is why, as mathematics teachers, we teach our students to count, measure, and calculate with accuracy in order to arrive at an objective truth. Oftentimes, this truth is in the form of a balanced equation. And coming from this context and being born and growing up in a Hiligaynon speaking household, it was only a matter of time before the word isip would intrigue me. In the Hiligaynon language, isip means both to count and to think. Now, there is a notable overlap in these two meanings, with counting commonly seen as being an objective act, while thinking often involving subjective nuances. And as I got more involved in studying the role of language, particularly the mother tongue, in the learning and teaching of mathematics, the word isipan, which is synonymous to maisip, uh, and meaning being too precise and too exact, always carried a negative connotation and was a marker of undesirable behavior. And this got me thinking about the relationship between our language and cultural attitudes towards exactness and reciprocity. This got me into asking the question, how can the pursuit of precision, which is one of the most important goals of mathematics, be possibly at odds with acceptable cultural behavior? Further, it was worth asking whether this attitude towards strictness and fairness in social exchanges was influencing how Visayans, and perhaps Filipinos in general, approach mathematical concepts like counting and calculation. That is, could this cultural lens shape how we learn and teach mathematics? These questions have led me to investigate the linguistic and cultural significance of the word isip and its derivatives, particularly the synonymous words isipan and maisip within the Hiligaynon language. Now, for a bit of a background, Hiligaynon is one of the major languages of the Philippines, spoken by around 11 million people who are primarily from the Western Visayas and Negros Island regions. Meanwhile, Western Visayas is a region known for its rich history, agricultural productivity, and lively cultural heritage. It is home to the Hinilawod, a recited epic that tells of the life and adventures of people and supernatural creatures along the Halawod River, which snakes through the various provinces of the region. Now, culturally, Hiligaynon-speaking communities place a strong emphasis on familial ties, community solidarity, and mutual cooperation. And incidentally, these values are encapsulated in the Filipino concepts kapwa and bayanihan and are reflected in the way social interactions are structured. And this is with a preference for harmony, generosity, and mutual support. And given this cultural context, we see that the Hiligaynon language is not only a means of communication, but also a vessel for cultural values and social norms. And because Visayan societies are generally characterized by communal living, mutual aid is crucial. In this case, there is an implicit understanding that generosity should be offered without the expectation of direct reciprocity. This cultural ideal promotes a form of mutual benefit that is less about exact exchanges and more about contributing to the collective well-being, with the understanding that others will do the same when one needs them to. And therefore, being isipan is being disruptive of this social harmony because of one's great focus on precise exchanges. Such a behavior is seen contrary to the values of trust, generosity, and communal responsibility that characterize Visayan social structures. And in this aspect, we may therefore consider these terms as linguistic tools for social regulation because they discourage behaviors that are perceived as overly calculative or self-serving. Meanwhile, the importance of bayanihan can especially be seen in agricultural and fishing communities where farmers and fisherfolk frequently share labor, tools, and resources to ensure that everyone's crops are planted and harvested on time, or that everybody gets a share of the catch. We now see how this cultural value is reflected in the negative connotations of isipan, which is always used as a derogatory remark pertaining to individuals who track their contributions too closely or expect something in return for their efforts. It is also worth mentioning that while these terms highlight a cultural resistance of sorts to exactness in social changes, they might also shed light on the ways in which mathematical thinking is approached and understood in this cultural context. Furthermore, the existence of these linguistic concepts may also contribute to the perceptions on the mathematical skills of Visayans and maybe even of Filipinos. What I'm trying to say is, if exactness and precision are culturally de-emphasized in favor of flexibility and practical application, could we hastily conclude that Visayans and or Filipinos are less skilled in mathematics, particularly in areas that require rigorous calculation and precision? I'd like to offer a different way of looking at this situation. First, I think it is important to reevaluate what is meant by mathematical skills. If cultural competence in mathematics is understood not just in terms of formal education, but also in terms of practical problem solving and adaptability, then Visayan mathematical skills might be viewed in a different light. And so I propose that rather than considering this as a handicap, we might take the cultural emphasis on flexibility and reciprocity as something that would foster a different kind of mathematical competence, one that is more attuned to real-world applications and communal problem solving. This situation would then necessitate a broader definition of mathematical literacy, one that takes into account cultural context. And so I propose the following ways of expanding the concept of mathematical literacy so that cultural context is taken into consideration. First, in line with the communal nature of Visayan communities, mathematical literacy should include the capacity to engage in collaborative problem solving and estimation alongside the ability to performing precise calculations. So this would entail that learners can apply mathematical knowledge in ways that are contextually relevant, culturally sensitive, and aligned with communal values. And so, discussions and activities in the mathematics classroom should therefore recognize the importance of approximation, practical reasoning, and flexibility, especially when the situation does not deem precision as culturally appropriate or necessary. Mathematics education patterned from Western frameworks has traditionally evaluated students based on their individual capability to solve problems, perform calculations, and demonstrate logical reasoning. However, as we discussed earlier, Bayanihan highlights collective action and support. In fact, Visayan communities have always valued communal effort, often connecting the success of an individual with the success of the group. And so it only makes sense that we consider teaching mathematics using activities, strategies, and techniques that emphasize collaboration and teamwork. For example, we might consider activities like creating a budget for a wedding, distributing resources equitably in a farming community, or calculating the shared benefits of taking part in pulling the cast nets in fishing communities. These activities do not only highlight the inherent practice of communal labor, they also effortlessly demonstrate the practicality of doing mathematics in everyday life. And they also showcase how the various subjects that students are studying relate to one another. And in this sense, mathematical literacy becomes an asset of the community in as much as it is an asset of the individual, emphasizing that the ability to work together and solve problems as a group is just as important as individual competence. Now, may I share that in a recent international conference on mathematics education, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that in fact mathematics education researchers have been advocating for the use of bilingual or multilingual mathematics education to address challenges for decades already. And research have consistently shown that students perform better when they can engage with mathematical concepts in their native language because it allows them to use their cultural and linguistic knowledge to make sense of new ideas. And therefore, I'm also recommending that incorporating Hiligaynon alongside English or Filipino in mathematics instruction could help bridge the gap between students' cultural experiences and the formal curriculum. And so to draw this presentation to a close, we go back to the question that was initially posed in this paper. Could the Hiligaynon language's linguistic connotations against precision and accuracy shape how we learn and teach mathematics? I think they do. And I believe we mathematics educators should take advantage of it, but with an important caveat. We should be wary not to do it in a way that mathematics education should disregard precision and exactness altogether. What we need to do is acknowledge that there are indeed existing cultural nuances, and these should encourage us to look at mathematical competence as not just about performing precise calculations, but about adaptability, collaborative problem solving, and applying mathematics in ways that are contextually and culturally relevant. The inherent communal nature of our culture supports the call to expand the definition of mathematical literacy to include these values so that we can better appreciate the ways in which Visayan learners perform mathematics, not as an isolated or strictly individual pursuit, but as an activity that involves the community. As mathematics educators, this serves to inspire us to challenge conventional models of mathematics education. Understanding this cultural nuance will allow us to tailor our teaching methods to be more responsive to students' lived experiences and cultural contexts, potentially improving engagement and comprehension. And I'd like to end my presentation here. Madamo gid nga salamat sa inyong nga pagpamati.